Hello everyone. In this lesson, I propose adding a password change feature. Let's start with a backend and create our endpoint. We'll call it update password, like router.auth.newfolder.update. Password. Let's create a file called input.ts. And its code will be as follows. The user will enter their old password. This is necessary to verify that the attempt to change the password is by the actual current user. It might be redundant, but this is usually done. He provides his old password and also specifies his new password to be set. And let's create the endpoint itself in the index.ts file. Its code will be as follows. Take our input. This is our mutation. This endpoint is available only for authorized users. Then we check that he correctly provided his old password. But since we don't store the password in its original form, we need to get its hash. And in me, we have the user from the database. And in the database, the password is stored as a hashed password. If the hashes match, then the password is correct. And if they don't match, we throw an error. Incorrect old password. Good. Let's update our user. Using the already known procedure, update the user with the ID that matches our ID. And in the password, insert the hash of the new password. And in the context, update me to updated me. And return true, because we don't really need to return anything here, because we don't send the password to the client. Accordingly, let's return just anything. We can simply return true. Fine. Added our endpoint. Now let's add a password change form to the profile editing page. So let's have everything related to the profile on one page. Currently, we already have one form here, but I want to make it so that there are two forms on this page. For this, everything needs to be divided into components. Generally, it's good to keep each separate component in its own folder. But if your components are quite simple, there's nothing wrong with keeping them all in one file. In the future, if they grow, just distribute them into different folders and import them into each other. Okay? Let's first extract this code into a separate component. We can take it from here right now. Here, we'll return, well, for now, and then do what is needed. This is some kind of main form. We will name it general accordingly, and it will accept our me. In this form, it's important that me is already declared, and therefore its type will be me.non-nullable. Well, not quite right, Copilot. All right, now let's write the rest. Here will be everything. Aha, me.non-nullable. trp say router.output getme.me. In principle, if you're tired of constantly writing this construction, you can create a file with types somewhere in the lib folder or at the root or somewhere else and move this type to a new variable since it repeats. But it's not necessary. Whatever is convenient for you, good. Defined this type, checking if our implementation is broken. No, the implementation is fine. Good. The only thing is, since this is just a component, I think it will be fine if we return only the form from it and leave all the beauty in our main component. I suggest we do it this way. This thing will return. Well, let it be some kind of void. You can declare it like this. It's the same as writing react.fragment. So, this is not a div or anything, but some component, because our return needs to have one component. And right now, there are ideally going to be two components. One with the main form, and another with the form for changing the password. Good. We place this segment here. Edit profile. This will be our page title. Good. We will have an edit profile section. There will be a form here. Then another segment with the title General. And in it, a component in itself, General. Added me in front of it. Okay, that's added. What are we getting errors about here? Oh yeah, only types are allowed to be imported. But in this situation, it's easier if we write it like this. And this type can be deleted. Then everything will be fine. All right, so saving. Now everything should work as before. This segment. Let me remind you, we have a property here called size, which defines both the HTML attribute and the header size. So this is a kind of subheading. So we'll set its size to 2. Let's go check it in the browser. Edit profile. Edit profile general. Excellent. And now let's add a form for changing the password. It will have the following code. Let's break it down. So, first, we forgot to add it again. Well, I forgot to add it. Our endpoint in the index file. All right, so this thing needs to be imported. Zod also needs to be imported. And now we can analyze the code. So, here we request our update password mutation. Declare our form using our hook. Use form. Set default values. Here we have an old password, a new password, and the new password again. This is needed only on the front end so that the user is sure they remembered their new password and didn't make a typo, by proving this by entering it twice the same. Accordingly, we've done this before. We take our input from the backend and extend it with the field new password again. We make a super refine and check that the new password should be the same as the new password. If it is not, we create a new error in our schema with a custom code and message. The passwords must be the same for the new password again field. All right, that's it. Then on onSubmit, we simply wait for this mutation to be sent. If an error occurs, the form wrapper will display an error. And if no error occurs, a success message will be displayed. And reset on success is needed, but it's always true anyway, so we don't have to write it here. All right, and let's now apply this to our page. Add the following code, segment password, size 2, and insert the passport here. We don't need to pass the passport anymore because no existing user data is used in this element. Let's go see what we've got here. Password. Let's try to change it. We had the password 1234. Now let's make it 4 ones. So 4 ones. Now we're being warned that the passwords don't match. I enter the 4th one. The password matches. Update password. Password updated. Let's try to log in with it. So, it was a user, I think. Oh, entering password 1234. Password incorrect. Entering password 1234 ones. Sign in. Password correct. Well, that's it. The form works perfectly. The only thing I don't like is that there's no separation here, right? Need to play around with the styles a bit. I suggest playing with the styles in the following way. So, go to the styles of the segment. It's a classic situation where one segment follows another, and you want to add some space between them. Well, a super classic situation. So, I propose to do it with the following code. This means that this ampersand is a reference to this segment. That is, this notation means the same as segment plus segment. This is the same thing. What does this construct mean? If we see a segment, and right after it comes the next element with the class segment, then this next element with the class segment should have a margin top of 40 pixels. So we save and check. Great, our margin of 40 pixels has been added. Congratulations, we added the password change feature and it works. Thank you all. Let's move on.